Hello, my friends. So, the date today is October the 10th, and this is a birthday reading for those folks born on October the 10th, or those events started on October 10th, or those businesses formed on October the 10th, or those anniversaries, whatever they are that occur on October the 10th. So, this is a four-card reading. It's a reading for the year. It starts with a general energy card of the year, of an energy that goes through the year. Then it has a challenge you might face this year. Then there's an action you can take to stay in balance this year. And there is an outcome or a synopsis card, more information about what this is all about. So the general energy card of the year is looking at the king, whether you are the king or someone else is the king. The king is about exactly what it is: the king, the ruler, the authority, the one in power, the one who is either a benevolent, seated king, uh, uh, teaching through magnanimous and recognizing equality, recognizing the powers of each being as a disciple and promoting each of them, one who promotes peace, or your king or their king standing up and missing their connection to divinity and thereby needing to throw their weight around and rule over others with an iron thumb or an oppressive nature. So if this is about you, you got to look this year to keep asking yourself, am I acting out of benevolence and kindness and want for everyone to grow, or I'm acting out of selfishness and fear and trying to push my own will over top of others? Sometimes the king is to run a business or to run a family or to run things takes a solid hand, but not necessarily a strict hand. And that is really what the king is all about. How are you sharing power? How are you recognizing the power of others? How are you standing in your own power? How are you being the king of your domain, the king of what you have created, the king of what you have brought to bear around you? For you have created virtually everything around you, even through karma, even through mystery and luck. Often they are the things that we need in order for us to progress along our path and find our sense of enlightenment and look at our lessons with great depth and great courage and great healing power. And that is how we become the king, the ultimate king, who is in the deck is the emperor. Uh, so the king is just the same as the emperor. Kings are often about following particular suits and of understanding swords or air, fire, water, or air. But but it's all the same relationship of, if you're in charge, how are you being in charge, and are you being kingly in a benevolent way or in a malevolent way? And so, what is the challenge specifically for you, October the 10th? Well, it's the Emperor. So, this is about you, I believe, and you having something that you need to run, something that you need to create the rules of and the civilization in, and the ways that people need to fit together in things, or the ideas about how things fit together and what you need to build. So this is a lot about just analysis and organization and communication and the will to create one's world the way you wish to create your world. But that's your challenge, to be that king, to be that creator, to be that uh, guide, to hold the power that you're holding in a positive way when it doesn't necessarily feel like you want to be the king anymore, that you want to step down as the emperor, that you might want to follow some other course of action. But to do that wouldn't doesn't make logical sense, and doesn't make logical sense to others, and doesn't make logical sense to you. And yet I think something inside of you is saying, I need to be the king of myself. I need to be the king of my whole being, and some part of me is missing, and some part of me is calling for something different, and something more less mind oriented and less control oriented, and more emotionally pure, and more emotionally touching, and more compassionately touching, and more lovingly touching to myself and to others. Something that has more spiritual meaning, I think, in some ways. And because I think this card is about feeling disconnected spiritually from the thing that you have created so far, from the life you have created, or the business, or the family, or yourself, feeling just disconnected from your own sense of power, your own sense of authority, your own sense of rightness in what you're doing, and almost a sense of rebelling against the logic and the analysis that have helped you to come this far, but don't feel like they're fitting you anymore. So what's the action that you can take? Well, it's the Lynx. And the Lynx is an interesting one for this position, because the Lynx is the secret holder, the secret keeper. It's a place of being uh, a confessor. You know, people go to the Lynx to give their pains, show their pains, so they can have some relief, so they can share them, uh, so that they can let go of them on some level. And the Lynx holds those secrets for as long as they are needed to be held. Uh, so that is one aspect of the Lynx. So maybe you are, really someone who needs to be involved in more priestly work, or more confessor work, or more psychological or sociological work, or more uh, guiding and helping and listening to others work. Maybe there's a more intimate relationship you feel like you need to build with others this year, and that might be a big cause that you need to look at. The other side of the Lynx is maybe others are asking you to tell some of your secrets. Maybe you're telling you to tell some of your secrets. Maybe it's time for the secrets that you have held about yourself to come to the surface, so you can feel more honest, and more authentic, and more truthful, and more free. There's a lot of, the emperor can build a lot and make a lot of things happen, but there's a cage that the emperor gets put into. They have to act a certain way and be a certain way, and they're not going to often rule necessarily if their subjects turn against them. So there's a strictness that the emperor has to hold, and the Lynx is saying, maybe you need to get rid of your own restrictions, get rid of your own civilization. Maybe you need to go out in nature. Maybe you need to go listen to the nature of yourself. Maybe you need to dive deeply into the wounds that you have tucked away, and the wishes and dreams that you have tucked away, and the inspirations and aspirations that you have tucked away, because you're afraid of the secrets that hide underneath them, that might prevent them from being shown, that might prevent them from being mocked, that might prevent them from being judged. Uh, there's a part of the emperor, I think, that needs to, in order for them to grow, in order for them to break their ego so they become a benevolent emperor, we need to be humbled. We need to be humble. We need to show our weaknesses and recognize that they're truly our strengths. When we heal them, when we can love them, when we can see humanity in them, when we can touch ourselves deeply in them and do the healing work, the mystery work, the magic work that the Lynx asks us to do. So are you becoming a healer this year, or becoming a priest this year? Are you just listening to yourself on a deeper level so that you can listen to really what is important to you, because what you have been doing doesn't feel as important to you now, and you know that something else is calling you, is clawing at you, is touching you and saying, now is the time, now is the work, now you have to listen, now you have to be able to know when to speak truth to power, to yourself, and for yourself. And that's the last card, is kind of the synopsis card. Um, you're a light bearer. You know, this is about taking your spiritual passion and remembering that your spiritual passion, if you don't listen to it and fulfill it, it's a dragon that's going to eat you, and it's going to eat you alive, and it's going to make you feel dead. But if you stand up and you feel that spiritual dragon fire breathing in some direction, and you stand up with that power, with that flame underneath you, and you stand up as a light holding a candle for others, and you stand up with the magnificence of spirit channeling in your head and in your heart and in your being, then you have become the truest emperor, the truest, wisest being, the truest giver and receiver of light in the universe. And this is your year. You can shine this year bright. You can walk toward becoming the light that you are inside of yourself, and learning how to let it flow out of yourself by working on forgiving your emotional selves, forgiving your guilts and your shames, forgiving your fears, forgiving your things that have blocked you or pushed you around, forgiving them all so that you can rise out of your old restrictions and become the king and the emperor and the universal master that you are. Ahom Atak Vyasin.